Well, here we are again today on a Wednesday for our little day out. Here's our boys. These are the guys that are doing the cupboard installation upstairs. Just getting ready to finish off that part of it. We've got the builders. They're getting ready to lay some concrete out here. This is where we're going to be parking the bikes. Tomorrow the guy starts to work on the awning or the carport. What else have we got going on here? Again, they're still doing more work in the kitchen here. What the carp? You got the tiles down, yes. Very good, very good. They're putting the next coat of paint on. I'm trying to find where the light switch is. There we go. Painting. A couple more days we'll have the water tank installed. They're putting the final touches on this thing here. Also looking pretty good too. That's where the stove will go, and they're painting outside. So it's only a couple more days on this one as well, which is pretty good. Anyway, just a bit of an update for you guys. But for today's topic, I thought we'd have a bit of a different topic today rather than the usual stuff. It's been sort of quite a common thread that's on the on the chat and on the forum and yeah. So you want to move to Thailand? What's that all about? What can you do? What can't you do? I remember one girl asking me, so when can she come? And this is a very hard question to ask or even answer because everything's so up and down, and nobody can make headway of any of the any of the sort of the topics that are coming out of the government. But the bottom line is, let's sort of try and cover that off. But in so doing, we're also going to cover a bit of a topic that come up on Rob's channel. I think today, I think it was. But he was also commenting on a video that was put out by another guy up in Chiang Mai. So we'll cover a few of those points as well, because I think it's pertinent to the whole idea here of coming to Thailand. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of running around to do today. What we're trying to do today is consolidate all our, or not my bank accounts, I only have one bank account, but consolidate Chanya's bank accounts. As I said, over the last couple of years, we've deposited money into a couple of accounts for different banks, to improve her credit standing with different people and different banking organisations. Of course, the SCB didn't come across with a loan. Krung City didn't come across with a loan. So we're going to pull that money out of those banks now, simply because of the fact that there's no point keeping money in the banks if they're not going to service us at any level. She's just gone to that account there. I think she's waiting to get in the door. Against the banks are exercising sort of certain levels of certain levels of social distancing, and you can only have so many people in the bank at a time, especially small little banks like this one. What happened, darling?
I forget today.
What?
Day from Visakha Bucha in course. Back course tomorrow.
Okay, so today is also Vikabusha Day.
Yeah.
Right, so I had to have all the banks are closed today.
And go check Big C, bring here and see.
Okay, go to Big C. So
check. I think me closed. Oh my God.
You give me book. I take care of the books.
Right.
So there you go. Our main point for going out today has been sort of dashed by a public holiday. Well, supposedly not all banks are closed. It just happened with the one there up on the Saihan that was closed, which is where I think she has 100,000 baht, and so we'll have to do that one tomorrow. She's obviously got she lost one of her cards, so here we are at Krung's at Kasikorn Bank. She's going to have to get a new plastic card for her current account. Anyway, it's a lot of running around. So getting back onto this point that I was trying to sort of make about the video, just try to stay on subject, which is always my biggest challenge. The question on everybody's lip is can I come to Thailand? And all I can say there in a black and white answer is yes. Black and white answer, yes, you can come to Thailand. Okay. The grey area is the fact that you will need a visa. And what I mean by that is the fact that people have been used to coming to Thailand where they just jump on a plane if they're coming from one of the I think 90 different locations around the world where you can do what they call a visa exempt stamp. Some countries have 30 days, some countries have 15-day agreements where you could just jump on a plane, land in Singapore or Dongmuan, and you could just walk through the gate and show your passport and they'd stamp your book as what they call a visa exempt. Okay, that sort of entry to Thailand is non-existent, and we don't perceive that as being possible until at least Q1, Q2 next year. Now, let's have a caveat as well. This is just my opinion, knowing the ups and downs that we have to deal with here in Thailand. But yes, a visa exempt stamp on entry, forget about it. It's just not going to happen in the short term. It's going to be doubtful in the medium term. You are going to need to get a visa of some sort from your location before you can enter Thailand. Okay, now the grey area is the fact that, well, what visas are available? Well, there's going to be tourist visas, there's going to be education visas, there's going to be sort of long stay visas, there's going to be all sorts of visas as an option for you to come. But you are going to have to do the homework. You are going to have to contact the embassy in your local country, right, and ask them what is available for you and what your reason for coming to Thailand is. Generally, Mangas will be refused entry into Thailand, if you're coming across just to play the red light district. Forget about it. It's just like it's a non-starter to start with. So get that out of your mind. If you come into Thailand for a legitimate reason, yes, there is some things in the works. They're trying to open Koh Samui, they're trying to open Phuket for tourism. That is still on paper. We don't see that until July 1 at least. Again, you're going to have to contact your local embassy, right? You have to go through the paperwork. Right now we have a situation where as I said, people are coming to Thailand. There's no problem. People are entering Thailand right now. Recently I've had David come in from Germany. He went through and jumped all the hoops and he got in. He's finished his quarantine and it's all good. I've got Cody coming in 3 weeks. Again, he's done all the paperwork, he's got all these bits and pieces. He's got a couple more things to check off because like the COE and things like that, there's a time frequency, but he's at least booked his flight, which is part of the process of entering Thailand. They want to know what flight you're coming in on, so on and so forth, because not all flights come to Thailand, There's a bunch of flights just don't make it here. Again, it's all done in your local country. Trying to talk to somebody over here about that is just like it's just a non-starter. We don't know where you're coming from, we don't know who you are. All we can say is go and check your local embassy, get the paperwork, give them a legitimate reason why you're coming, and they will give you a list of what you need to check off to make that possible. So, yes, you can come to Thailand now. Coming to Thailand on a visa exempt, that's a no-starter, so just get it out of your mind. Okay, so if you're coming to Thailand, so let's get on to these points that I was trying to make. As I said, Rob was doing a commentary on another video from another guy in Chiang Mai. I don't know the guy in Chiang Mai, so all I can do is give you his name anyway, so you can check it out. He seems to have a fairly legitimate channel. He's doing the same stuff as we've done. We've just never crossed bridges before. I just realised that I'm sitting out there in the sun there talking to you guys, and I should be sitting down because anything to do at banks always takes 20 to 30 minutes. One of the little downfalls of living here in Thailand is just nothing's very simple. But yeah, this other guy in Chiang Mai goes by the name of Brett Dead. Well, that's the name of his channel. Look, I will put a link down in the description here below if you don't know the channel. It looks like he's got a reasonable sort of size following. Yeah, I've just not come across him before, but he seems like a half intelligent sort of bloke. So I don't normally talk about other vloggers that I haven't met personally, but as Rob made a reference to his video, I thought we'd just also give him a bit of a plug as well. But getting to the point, so there's there's a lot of misinformation, and this is what the topic of their video was the misinformation that seems to pervade the whole Thailand scene of, coming to Thailand. There's a whole lot of misconceptions that people really sort of seem to have in their mind. I don't know where they get this stuff from. Most of these rumours can't be validated in any way, shape or form. Well, it depends on how you look at it. As Rob sort of said, there is some black and white ways to look at every one of these points, but there's always grey areas. But the grey areas are not specific to Thailand. The grey areas are specific to people in general. And looks like she's got her stuff done. Let's see if we can go into the SCB now. Okay? Okay, you ready? You getting your card?
Yes.
Okay, go see SCB.
No, SCB here, SCB this one.
But the same bank, Dali, you could just go instead take my money.
Cannot this one, just go move, no pick big C, big same here. Cannot close this
I don't
one.
understand why
You
that
don't
would
understand.
be. Yeah. You have money in a bank, you've got to go to your branch to take money
When
out?
you want to close, you
Oh.
just to same bank.
Okay,
here,
so
you
to
just
close the
bank.
bank, you've got to close the account, you've got to go to the same branch. Okay, so that's Phết Ksem song, yeah? Where's she go? Oh my God. Okay, so looks like she can close the branch here, close the account here, and then she can take the money, put it over there. Don't ask me how that system works either, because that's just one of the confusing things here in Thailand, right? If I wanted to close a bank, even when I did the closing of the bank, Citibank a couple of years ago, at least that was fairly electronic. I didn't have to deal with anything. I had the bank account book in my hand. I went to the bank, the Citibank, and I just put that across there, said, closing my account, put it here, and bang, bang, bang. They gave me a receipt that would happen, and it said it'll have to take place in 6 hours. But that's only my experience, but don't forget, the Citibank is a Westerner style bank, so they're very much electronic, and it's a different sort of bank to these typical Thai banks. What I've sort of seen here, like I said, when she won the lottery, she had to go to one bank to get the money, and then manually deposit those physical bills into her Castricon bank, And you're going, how backward is that? So getting onto this first point, Thailand is a dangerous place. That was the point that they raised as number one, and quite honestly, I have to agree with them. I have never felt uncomfortable, no place wherever I've been. Okay, I felt ill at ease walking through the back streets of Klong Toi at 1 o'clock in the morning after meeting up with some people at a bar down there, and it was a good 500 yards to a good cross section where I could get a taxi, because even the taxis don't go along that story. That's the slum area, and major sort of point of contention. But it's a slum, you have slums all around the world, and of course slums really beget the fact that people don't have money, or they have very limited amount of money. So money is a primary sort of reason why they would bend some rules. But I've never felt, like in danger. I just felt, this is a grubby sort of place. Not the sort of place I would want to sort of, trip over and fall on my face, or any sort of level of that. But as for being a dangerous place, no, I can't see it. Thailand is a confusing place. Let's not mix up danger with confusion. Like, confusion can give you an air of feeling ill at ease because you're confused about something, but don't forget that confusion is up to you. Exercising due diligence before you come to a place, asking the locals, and that's why we have channels. We talk about, I constantly talk about this. Reach out, talk to us. Depending on where you are, there's certain people in those locations, live in those locations, and can give you some inside story as to what to watch out for in those regions. And invariably, people just are either too lazy or too scared in their own sort of, race and belty, that they just don't want to ask a simple question. Like, why? I for the life of me still can't understand where that comes from. I was always one person to ask questions. right now, let's just go off subject. Right now, I'm sort of going through learning more and more about this digital currency stuff, and I'm constantly at points of difference with David. But I don't hate David; he doesn't hate me. It's just the fact that I'm confused with it, and so I'm always asking sort of questions in my mind about why things don't work. But I'm asking questions, which that means the fact that I'm inquisitive and wanting to get answers. But I invariably find the people we meet, generally people don't want to ask questions. Right? They want to come to a location here in Thailand and expect it to be like the main street in Houston, Renfrewshire, or downtown London or something like. No, it's not going to be like that, guys. It's going to be specific to where you are, right? And again, I can answer questions about like Nakhon Pathom and the outskirts of Bangkok here, because that's where I've lived for 5 years. Ask me about Phuket. Basically, I know probably less than you guys, because you've probably already got onto the web and started to do some initial research. You get the idea. So I'm not the sort of person who can ask questions about that. I can answer things that I read in the news over the last few weeks, but that's news that's more than 4 weeks old is old news, and it probably doesn't make any sense to anybody anyway. So you've got to think about that sort of thing. Now, of course, this is going to be a long video. I'm just thinking, I'm probably already 10 minutes into this video, and I've only answered one of those questions. But that is said, let's use this time to demystify some of the stuff about Thailand in general, which is, where these 5 points that the guys had, they're quite valid ones, and they come up all the time. As I said, physically take the money out of one bank, she's carrying like 200,000 baht in her wallet there. Now, does she feel in danger? No, we're going from one bank to this. It's just like a standard practice. But now she's going to have to physically deposit that into this bank. Yeah, so that brings me to my second point in this list. Thailand is a third world country. Okay, so here's an example. Generally Thailand is very modern and very sophisticated in a lot of respects. There's a lot more freedom in Thailand, but yeah, banking, okay. Look, maybe it is possible to go to one bank and say, can I have electronic transfer to another bank? But that's just not the way Thais do it. So here she is, she's physically taken the money, closed an account in one branch, walked 100 yards or 80 yards, and physically deposited that money in another branch. And now she's putting her bank book in a teller to update that bank book. You might think that is third world or backward. It's just the way it is. Thailand love paperwork. Where we go now? Okay, I want to go Big C, buy something. What do you want to do next? Go first. She wants me to drive 150 yards to the Big C. But yes, so is it a third world country? Well, you're going to find a lot of shanties, you're going to find slums, you're going to find all sorts of things. But generally, Thailand is a fairly modern place, modern cars. You don't see horse and buggies in the street, if you know what I mean. You see people going around doing their business and taking care of business in a normal fashion. I've never felt that Thailand is a backward country. It's just that I often feel that Thailand could improve some efficiencies. Yes, darling?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, where are we going now? You want to go Big C?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go Big C and do point 3. As for being a third world country, well, Thailand itself has a long history. We tend to, if you're from Australia, we've got a 200-year or 250-year history. If you're from America, you've got 450 years of history. Thailand's got 1,000 years of history. And, a lot of things are very much established in the system. And there's very much to break old rules of different cultures. So you have a lot of cultural impacts around the thing that you might think are backward, but that's only from your perception, right, and the way you look at the world, right? These people look at the world differently. Life is cheap. Life is expendable. It's probably the best way to describe it. We tend to,
ชวนนอส
we tend to look at life and look for long-term planning and everything else, but Thailand people don't do that. They don't. No. Anyway, got to get some. Why you not get a basket? You want to get makeup or you want to get food? What more important, food or makeup?
half food half make
You can choose food or makeup. What you want?
just take first
Which of course brings me on to point number 3, right? A common misconception that you get over here, and this is the point that they made, was all the women want to date you, which is as far from the truth as possible. One thing you will have to get used to is the females here, and of course transgenders, are a very dominant personality. Probably sort of more dominant than what you have in the West, although it's very subversive is probably the word. I'm trying to think of the right word there. American, Australian women come across very butch a lot of the times and in control, and there's no guessing, whether you're making it or not with the conversation or whatever while you're endeavouring to date somebody. But primarily what you've got to deal with here is a language barrier, and the women are very much self-driven. No, they don't want to date you. They may want to leverage your support financially. They may want to do whatever their cause, whatever their mindset is. This is something that, again, comes back to culture. You're going to have to learn how to live with the openness of the Thai women. As they brought up in their conversation was the promiscuity. There is definitely a high promiscuity within the Thai female and transgender population as well. And that can obviously confuse a lot of Westerners. But you've got to again think of the culture here, that this is the promiscuity is within their culture. As they sort of said, we have terms like mea noi and the gik. Now, I've loosely sort of made reference to these sort of subjects before as well. When it comes to a mea noi, that's what they call the second wife. This is not a This is not a foreigner thing. This is Thai culture. They having second wives and things like that, and the gik. The best way, I think, the best reference I've ever found for a gik is friends with benefits. We obviously use the Westerner term, fuck buddy. But I think friends with benefits is probably a better, more appropriate way to look at it. But again, it's just all the promiscuity. Bar girls and all that sort of stuff, it's all part of the scene. But it's just not bar girls. I've quite often sort of seen the eye given here in supermarkets and other places. Women over here and transgenders, they all have a perception of how the intimacy should go. And you're a little bit in the dark about that, which can sort of lead you to make the wrong assumptions. So always be careful. Which brings me to the next point, of course, they raised was the whole idea of the red light districts were made for foreigners. No, they were made for Thai people. Foreigners seem to find their way to live in those locations because they want no strings attached. Food, more and guy, and you can choose something. Yeah, we're doing a big shop.
Don't forget you wait here, see the
What you want? The clean face. Oh my God. Yeah, so as I said, it goes along with the gik and the mea noi. The red light districts are very much a Thai thing. We know of places like Pattaya and Phuket and Hua Hin, and a few other haunts, Sukhumvit. But there is multitude of places outside those known districts. There's one that's just pretty much near the palace. There's a particular area there which is Thai specific. It's it's a lot of hookers hanging around there. We don't know about it specifically because of the fact that we're not in that scene. It's not not easy to navigate that sort of that paradigm because it is specifically Thai and Thai only. But again, this is their culture. This is what they've had to do. It's 1,000 years of Thai-ness, and it's one of those sort of things you're going to have to get used to. Of course, I think the last point they raised was Thais are always trying to scam you, and I think we quite often get that sort of comment on our channel, and I'm pretty sure the other guys get it as well, which is, you're being taken for a ride. No, I'm in a relationship, guys. People think that I'm dumb. Well, I'm sorry, but quite frankly, probably smarter than most of the people that even sort of think about watching our channel. I didn't get to be as an IT engineer and a six-figure salary for being a dumb fuck. But anyway, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm spending. I'm retired early. You're not. That's usually the way it goes. You're making the wrong decisions or wrong assumptions there, guys. Not that it's a rant or anything, but yeah, I guess I do. I get some people that just really have got no clue. They really haven't. But yeah, Thai scamming you. Like there has been known some situations where like the jet ski scam and the visa scam. But you're going to get that no matter where you go. Again, you're travelling a different road. Your requirements over here to stay here are going to be different to where you live. So you're going to be experiencing new scams that you're not conditioned to I'm just trying to think of the word. You're not conditioned to feel out. The sort of things like the grifters and things like that you would have back home. You don't sort of get that sort of stuff. You do, of course, get the few odds and ends, the cons, but generally, I've yet to really feel that I've been scammed anywhere. Everything I do here is a calculated decision. What's it worth to do this? What's it worth to do that? What's the best cost? No, darling. Put in the garbage, quick. Put in the garbage, quick.
Don't say that.
Put in the garbage. Smell like garbage.
Number
Smell like garbage. Put in the garbage.
ฝรั่ง don't like but Thai people really like
It is durian season, yes. And probably once a week, the smell pervades the hallway and it drifts upstairs. Smells like somebody killed something there. Look, some foreigners actually like durian. I like durian chips. That's the durian slices like crisps. That actually is quite tasty. I want you to choose something. Yeah, you can choose. You want some bacon? Bacon, some. Bacon here, song. Yeah. Song. Okay, song. Just get 2 packs of bacon. Why are we shopping here at this big C? Well, this one here is bigger than our little local market. We could have gone to Omyai, which is another big C. But as we were up here doing the banking stuff here, she had to go to this particular bank because that's where her branch is. So that's why we're at this big C. But generally, sort of, this is what we do. This is our life. I think there was a comment made on my channel. I think he deleted it, but all us vloggers over in Thailand are running out of material. Well, material is a bit on the scarce side because of all the restrictions of doing everything. But again, you guys aren't coming here to do the normal things. The reasons why you're coming, to Thailand right now are quite varied. Education visas, tourism, setting up a business. What else is there? long stay, all that sort of stuff. You're making decisions about where you want to live your life. Thailand has one thing always comes on my mind. I feel free here. And this is a comment that I think is shared amongst most of the expats that I deal with. This level of freedom we get to experience here. Yes, we've got to check in every 90 days. We've got to every year we've got to go and update our visa and all that sort of stuff. But hey, it's 1 or 2 days a year of the rest of it. Pretty much they leave you alone. As long as you're not bothering people, right, you'll find that your stay here in Thailand can be probably the most adventurous and exciting part of your life. Especially if you're getting 50 plus and you're on a retirement visa and you've got money to take care of business. If you don't have that sort of thing, you're going to struggle. Don't think you're going to come to Thailand on a retirement visa with your 800,000 baht in a bank and expect to make a living here. That's just simply not going to happen. You need to have done some 10 to 20 year planning of what you want to do. You want to prepare to come. So this is one of the things that I think is never really discussed much. I bring it up for every so often. Yeah, the whole idea is a whimsical notion, the fact that you want to come to Thailand, you're going to get a retirement visa and here's 800,000 baht, or what's that, I'm just trying to think of the equation, it's $35,000 US or something like that. I can't remember what the conversion is. $42,000 Australian. That's going to set you up for the rest of your... No, seriously. Wake up and smell the roses. It's a planning. You need to look at your investment strategies and all that sort of stuff, and make sure the fact that you kind of cover the next 10 to 20 years of your life. Then you've got a chance of surviving. You're on a pension, well, as I said, if you're on a government pension, it's a bit of a problem. Governments are in control. You have to think about your own pensions or your own, or your own security. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Say goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. And we'll catch up with you next time.